Chapter 8. Worthy of More. Recently, I had one of those mornings when I felt triggered with a capital T, and I could not get out of it. I stubbornly held on to my horrible mood as if I were trying to prove something. Do you ever have days like this? It started on the drive to a noontime school performance for my youngest daughter. My husband reached across the seats to hold my hand, and I pulled away. I said, "Not right now. I'm in a bad mood. Don't even come close to me." And it got worse. We arrived at the school, and as we walked into the auditorium, I broke off to sit by myself. That's right. I watched the entire performance several rows away from my family, who continued to wave me back to sit with them. I wouldn't budge. Afterward, on the ride home, my husband Lowell quietly asked, "Did you like sitting by yourself?" And I responded curtly, "Yes, I enjoyed being alone." He nodded and continued driving. And as if I hadn't held on to my bad mood long enough, when we returned home, I started in on him. "Why haven't you done this? Why didn't you do that?" Again, Lowell responded calm and cool. "It's okay, I've got it." And then, get this, he made me lunch. And not just any lunch. He made me one of my most favorite things, avocado toast and a fruit smoothie. He set both down next to me along with a cookie. It was the kindest gesture. And what did I do? I said, "I already ordered lunch. DoorDash will be here any minute." I told you, I was clutching my bad mood as if my life depended on it. Lowell said, "All right, we can eat that later. I hope you like your lunch." He walked out of my office and quietly closed the door, and I started to cry. I was struck by his unwavering kindness. I'd been so horrible to him, and he didn't lower his frequency to match mine. He stayed resolutely parked higher up the radio dial, and this forced me to listen to my own music. Left alone in my office, I tuned into myself and heard a familiar song. A lonely song, thick with the theme of abandonment. I unconsciously wrote this song about myself when my father walked out on my family when I was still in middle school. After he left, my grandmother said, "Your father's not only divorcing your mom, he's divorcing his kids too." I didn't hear from my dad for a while after he left, and within that time, my mother spiraled deeper into mental instability. It was an isolating time for me. I often felt as though I didn't exist, as if I didn't matter, and those feelings of separation and lack created a lyric, a limiting belief, that I wasn't worthy, that I wasn't enough. And that lyric has played throughout my life at different volumes and at different times. In workshops, when I ask women, "Would you love to have more joy? Would you love to take better care of yourself? Would you like a beautiful home? Would you love to travel with your kids to Greece?" The answer I get 9 times out of 10 is, yes, but I don't need it. Yes, but I don't want to appear greedy. Yes, but I don't want to seem materialistic. Yes, but I don't deserve it. Yes, but I won't get it. Yes, but it'll never happen, so why wish for it? There is a deep reckoning that far too many of us must do around our unworthiness. If you are living with less than you want and deserve, it's because you've created resistance. There is static in your reception, a disruption in the flow. We're each meant to have clear access to the infinite stream of abundance that is available to everyone, and tapping into abundance doesn't make you greedy or gross or entitled or corrupt. There is no judgment. There is nothing you have to justify. Receiving abundance is just a choice to be a bigger vessel. Every one of us living on the planet is meant to receive, and as we do, we are giving to the whole ecosystem. Here's a metaphor I like to share to get the idea across. My family is Jewish, but I love Christmas. I love Christmas lights, Christmas music, all the festivities. During the pandemic, I wanted the holidays to feel totally over the moon. So I hired some guys to bring a ridiculous amount of Christmas lights to my house. It was like Chevy Chase in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. We had a blow-up version of Buddy the Elf and Rudolph in the front yard, plus lights on every tree, lights throughout every room, upstairs and down. My husband kept saying, "This is not going to happen. It's not going to work." I thought, what does he know? Turns out he was right. The lights kept blowing out, the refrigerator turned off, Rudolph was deflated on the lawn, and Will Ferrell in Buddy the Elf form was all scrunched up. I finally had to ask the electrician what was going on. He told me, "You don't have enough wattage here in the electric panel to hold all this charge. You'd have to add to the breaker to hold more." Well, we didn't add a breaker, and my Christmas vision didn't turn out the way I'd hoped. But on the bright side, it gave me a great analogy for manifesting. If you want to allow more into your life, you must have the capacity to energetically hold more. Think about your life right now. How comfortable or uncomfortable are you receiving a compliment or when a friend offers to pay for dinner? When we are identified with our ego, we can only receive so much energy. But if we feel connected to our soul, when we feel one with Source, then we can receive an infinite amount of energy because it flows through us like an infinite loop. You get what you have the courage to ask for, and you get what you have the capacity to receive. So I often meet women and ask them, where in your life do you feel reciprocity? Where do you feel real energetic exchange in your life? Where have you created that? Because you will be amazed at how people will show up the way you teach them to show up for you. If in our lives we are carrying a thimble-sized capacity to receive, and we overgive at the same time, we're depleted, and we don't have the capacity to receive. We don't have to gaslight ourselves. We can feel the sense of worthiness that allows us to be available for a much higher standard of care, and that starts by putting that yummy lotion on your hands. It starts by taking a bath, and not a rushed, ordinary kind of bath. You take beautiful flowers and rose quartz, and you put them in the bath, and you take 25 minutes to soak in it. It's so important to retrain yourself, to reteach yourself what to expect from life. This is the energetic signature you send out. It starts to be felt in the field, and that is how the world perceives and responds to you. Take a bath. Here's what I would love for you to do. Take a bath. You might think, whoa, this is kind of rebellious and impractical when I have 50 other things to do right now, but I think it'll be powerful. As you fill up the bathtub, set the intention that you're going to soak into that divine, feminine, aligned, potent, conscious, beautiful energy. Set the intention to release your unconscious addiction to the struggle and come back to your body in the present moment. Set the intention that while you're in the bath, you're going to allow this beautiful, incredible gift called life to soften and soak into you. I would suggest that if you can, put on a spa playlist that can play in the background to create the environment. Then place your phone away from you so you can't touch it. I'm curious what that feels like. Because for us to have an impact on the rest of our day and tomorrow and our life, we need a different energetic imprint, and we need to come from more ease in our nervous system. We don't have so much familiarity with fully nourishing ourselves and filling our cups. I know that it can seem like such an unproductive, silly thing to do in the middle of the day, but it actually is one of the most meaningful gestures that you can make for yourself. Now, if for some reason you don't have access to a bath, or that is something that is so far out of your comfort zone that you just don't want to do it, then do something similar. Put your phone away and for 10 minutes allow yourself to just soak into the divine, connected, aligned place within yourself. Just allow the moment to wrap you up. This is well worth 10 to 15 minutes of your time. I highly recommend taking a moment to really stop and let yourself soak in this energy. As crazy as it seems, since we've been taught to put all our attention elsewhere, this work is really the doorway to the portal, because you are learning in real time how to create a sanctuary within yourself. And that sanctuary within you unlocks the door to further expansion. When we make a habit of embodying and coming home to and tending to the place within us, the deep sanctuary space that is beyond the mind, that is gentle, that is soft, that is connected to the divine, we find tremendous wisdom, wholeness, and abundance. Time slows down and we wind up being present for our life. We wind up being directed by the wisdom within us. Here are some affirmations that can be helpful to repeat daily or whenever you feel the need to connect with the sanctuary within yourself. Allow them to resonate within you and guide you toward a state of receptivity, peace, and alignment with your true self. I am open and receptive to the gentle flow of divine energy. I trust in the unfolding of divine timing and surrender to its wisdom. I allow myself to receive and embrace the nurturing energy of the universe. I am a vessel of love and compassion, radiating peace and tranquility. I honor and respect my intuition, following its guidance with grace and ease. I release the need for control, allowing the universe to support me effortlessly. I am worthy of receiving abundance and blessings in all areas of my life. I embrace my feminine essence and celebrate the power of softness and vulnerability. I am connected to the wisdom and strength of my divine feminine energy. I surrender to the natural rhythms of life, finding harmony in rest and rejuvenation. I trust in the divine plan for my life and have faith in its perfect unfolding. I release any resistance and welcome the abundant blessings that flow to me. I am a magnet for love, joy, and all the blessings of the universe. I honor my emotions and allow myself to feel deeply and authentically. I am in tune with the cycles of nature and embrace the beauty of divine timing. Once you've cycled through the affirmations, shift your perspective backward and remember yourself as a little child. Can you picture yourself at 7 years old? Do you have an image that comes to mind? Were you missing a tooth? Did you have this pair of red sneakers that you loved? Picture that kid and notice how effortless it is to see the goodness in the younger version of yourself. Do you see it? Do you see your innocent self? She was there, and at some point along the way, your mind created an unconscious story. And that story communicated to you in some way, shape, or form one of two lies. Either you're not enough, or that it's not possible. Neither is true. You're more than enough, and it is completely possible. I had Dr. Jennifer Wallace on my podcast, and we were talking about her book, Never Enough, When Achievement Culture Becomes Toxic. She did a ton of research and found out something fascinating that points to women in our relationship with self-care. She said, quote, "The number one intervention for any child in distress is to make sure the primary caregivers, most often the mothers, prioritize their well-being, their mental health, and make sure their support system is intact, because a child's resilience rests fundamentally on the resilience of their mother, and a mother's resilience rests fundamentally on her relationships, the depth and support of those relationships." Jennifer said, "We are sold a bill of goods by the wellness industry that if we light a candle and drink tea, we will be resilient. Those are certainly great and can be stress reducers, but they will not give you the resilience you need to be, as researchers call us, the first responders to our kids' struggles. We need people in our lives, 1 or 2 or 3 friends who we can be vulnerable with, who we can open up to, who we feel unconditionally loved and supported by, just like the people we try to be for our own kids. We need to invest in our relationships outside of the home for our children's benefit. It is not just about putting your oxygen mask on first. It is about having 1 or 2 or 3 friends in your life who know you intimately, who can see you gasping for air, and who reach and put that oxygen mask on for you. That's a whole other level of friendship." End quote. So why is it so hard to open up to more? What creates the resistance? Old stories, old lyrics, another spin around the turntable. When I talked with clinical psychologist Dr. Shafali, she said that the core for the evolution and healing of the world is the consciousness of the mother figure. As she dug deeper into her research, she realized that the biggest curse on the planet is women not being receivers. When a mother figure is so attached to her ego and her false identity, it gets passed down. As I like to say, it's not what's taught, it's what's caught. The next generation doesn't get a chance at their own destiny. If we were raised by mothers who were stuck in ego, who did not believe they were worthy of abundance, it's likely that their limiting beliefs about receiving were imprinted on us. And if we continue that unconscious pattern, we teach our sons and daughters not to receive as well. I was coaching a woman in my online membership community who was struggling with a common receptivity issue. She felt scared of stepping into her power, being unapologetically herself. She wasn't aware of how much she was wanting to be liked and trying to be sweet because she had always played that role in her family growing up. I walked her through a practice that helped her, which you can also try. Listen to this exercise and then give it a try. Close your eyes. Scan your life through your teen years, your 20s, your 30s, and your 40s, looking for evidence around the belief that I am safe as long as I'm not fully in my power. It is not safe to be powerful. Take some time to go back. See if any experiences or pieces of evidence come up. How did they show up? Feel into this unconscious belief that takes up a lot of space. As you remember and experience a moment when you believe that, feel yourself now as the powerful, wise woman you are, clearing the belief because you know what's actually true. Move it. Clear it. Tell that younger you, you're safe to be authentic. You're safe to be powerful. The world can handle it. When you're ready, open your eyes. For what it's worth. You are either receptive, allowing abundance into your life, or you are resistant. You're coming from either a place of yes or a place of no. It's that simple. It's that black and white. Which is it for you? When you feel into your energy, in which direction is it pulled? Receiving is inherent and resistance is learned. So if your life isn't flowing easily, if you're in debt, there's no money, no thriving, only stagnation, or if there are certain things that you've wanted for a very long time and they haven't shown up, it is likely due to a learned belief or behavior that you're unconsciously attuned to. And if you're a woman, the line backward tends to point in the direction of the matriarch in your family. So take a few minutes now and answer these questions about your grandmother, then repeat them for your mother, and then answer them a third time for yourself. What was your grandmother's sense of worthiness? What was your mother's sense of worthiness? What is your sense of worthiness? How worthy did your grandmother feel? How worthy did your mother feel? How worthy do you feel? How did your grandmother receive in her life? How did your mother receive in her life? How do you receive in your life? What was your grandmother's relationship with money? What was your mother's relationship with money? What is your relationship with money? Did your grandmother feel empowered to earn, to accept and accumulate wealth? Did your mother feel empowered to earn, to accept and accumulate wealth? Do you feel empowered to earn, to accept and accumulate wealth? Finally, how did your grandmother define wealth and abundance? How did your mother define wealth and abundance? How do you define wealth and abundance? Money, not created in a vacuum. When I ask attendees in my workshops to contemplate their learned and often unconscious beliefs about money, they instantly recall hearing statements like these. You have to be a snob to have money. Money is hard to come by. People with money are righteous jerks. Money is hard to make. Money is a pain. People with money are evil. money is hard-earned. Money does not equal happiness. Money doesn't grow on trees. Money's not available. There is always a lot of judgment about money. And do you notice how these statements start to sound starkly similar? They all carry a similar vibration of scarcity and lack, of separation and unworthiness. Now, consider the effect that these unconscious beliefs have on the person lugging them around. If you think money is a disgusting thing, corrupt and greedy, or something reserved for only a select few, excluding you, then why would you allow it into your life? If money is the root of pain, rejection, isolation, or disruption, of course you unconsciously resist it. When you start to understand your perception of money in the context of limiting beliefs, and in the context of stories passed down to you, the numbers in your bank account begin to make a whole lot more sense. My grandmother Betty was from the Ukraine. Around 1918, her family settled in America in a tenement on the Lower East Side of Manhattan. In the building where she lived with her parents and siblings, there was only one toilet to serve 26 families, and as a result, many people got sick and died of tuberculosis. In those days, girls were not allowed to go to school past 5th grade, so at a young age, my grandmother was working in a sweatshop and cutting hair. At the end of every week, she'd give her earnings to her father, who would greedily take the money from her and spend it on her brothers, leaving her with nothing. She had no money to the point where she would take an eyeliner pencil and draw a line up the back of her leg to look like she had pantyhose on because she couldn't afford stockings. Even through all of this, she had the courage to dance through life. I mean that both literally and figuratively because she was a very talented dancer. She used to always find that higher vibration, and she danced her way through everything. By the way, fun fact, my grandmother danced at a really famous club in New York City called the Roseland Ballroom, where Ella Fitzgerald regularly sang. My grandmother had barely a penny to her name, and considering all the circumstances she grew up with, she had every good reason to cry. Instead, she chose to dance. She chose to enjoy what she had in the moment. That was one of the most beautiful life lessons she taught me. Like most people we know, my grandmother was also a complex mosaic of things. Once she married my grandfather, she was lifted incrementally out of poverty. But when she became a widow at 60, she had never written a check, never paid for anything on her own. She felt financially insecure and passed this insecurity down to my mother, who never felt empowered with money. In the 1970s, my mom earned her own money as an elementary school teacher, but every penny she made went to pay back her parents for money they had lent my parents to buy a house. When she became a mother, she left her teaching job at the elementary school. She then became a piano teacher and taught lessons at home in the afternoons. My dad was resentful that she didn't make more money, and she felt like whatever she did, take care of my sister and me, clean the house, and so on, was never enough. My father underscored this message even if he didn't say it, by intimating that because mom wasn't working a full-time job, she wasn't an equal partner in the marriage. Eventually, Dad left, and after he remarried, he praised his new wife for being a career woman. I unconsciously learned from my father that to be a good spouse, a woman needed to contribute at least equally to be considered a good partner. I also learned that if a woman didn't have her own money, her spouse could leave, and she would wind up with nothing. It's no wonder that I felt so driven to become the provider in my own marriage years later. It created a lot of pain in my dynamic with my husband. Even now that I'm aware of it, I can still fall back into a pattern of insecurity and doubt. Gay Hendricks, psychologist and author of The Big Leap, proposes that we all have an unconscious set point based on what we believe, and that we cannot push past that set point until we fundamentally change our beliefs. To have more abundance in your life, it is imperative to remove sticky static from the line, and the first step to doing this requires an awareness that any limited views you have about money likely belong to other people. Said another way, the song you're singing about money is one you picked up when you weren't paying attention, and over the course of your life, it's become an earworm that you can't shake and that you've claimed as your own. If you've been tuned to the key of limitation, to the string of money doesn't grow on trees, because that's the music that was played in your home growing up, then guess what? You have unconsciously resonated with that belief. You're vibrating at the frequency of scarcity where the world appears desolate and scary. It's the soundtrack to every dystopian film, and you're playing it. Yeah, that's a bummer, but it's okay. That's awareness, and awareness creates a path forward, a new song to sing. When you tune yourself to the higher notes of I am worthy of financial abundance and there's no shame in receiving, you'll begin to resonate at a higher frequency, and from there, the numbers will change. As I'll continue to share, it took me nearly my entire lifetime to unravel from the good girl and the good wife narrative and to change my old belief that money will corrupt me and make me unrelatable to real people, including my own children, my husband, and maybe also my cats. Like they say, it's been a journey, and often an uncomfortable one, but unraveling myself from old lyrics is valuable work. So many of us carry whisperings from our past, from the women who came before us who were told to, quote, be good, to follow the rules, to stand in line, to not ask for more because they didn't deserve more. The way to break free is to recognize the unconscious narrative and generational patterns about abundance that are not consistent with allowing it into your experience. Speaking of which, I had an experience that really shined a light on some of my issues with receiving. When Lowell and I were engaged, I needed a new car. My lease was up, and he went car shopping with me. We figured it was smart to get a bigger car than I had in case we had a baby within the next few years. After test driving a few SUVs, we chose the Acura RDX, which was zippy enough while still feeling roomy for a new family. The night we went to get the car, Lowell told me he would talk to the dealership manager alone to try to help me get the best deal before I went in and signed the paperwork. Remember, we weren't married yet, and I needed a new car. Later that evening, Lowell walked over to me with the keys to my new car and said, "Congrats, I bought it for you." I couldn't believe it. I started to cry and begged him to take it back so I could pay for it myself. I was beside myself. I felt so overwhelmed with a sense of unworthiness and obligation. Lowell explained that he felt it was a responsible decision since we were going to be married in 3 months. My reaction was so crazy that it taught me a lot about my sense of feeling worthy. We went to see a therapist, and she told me that Lowell would buy me the world if he knew it would make me happy. She told me that one of the most loving things I could ever do was to let someone feel needed and to receive from them. This was and still is a major paradigm shift in my life. The Hebrew word for love is ahava. The root of the word is hav. Hav means to give. Love is actually about giving. One of the most beautiful ways we give to someone is to let them feel needed and to receive the love they want to give us. I am still working on this and softening my guard to allowing for that love and intimacy to flow into my heart. Notice what you allow yourself to receive. Allowance is the key word here, and it can be very simple. Receiving a compliment, a gift, an offer of assistance, an open door. A moment like this came up for me recently with a friend, except I was the giver and she was the receiver. We were out to dinner, and when the server brought us the check, she said to my friend and me, "Do you want me to split it down the middle?" I jumped in. "No, I'll pay for it." My friend smiled and graciously accepted my offer to pay, but I sensed some discomfort, some hesitation on her part, and this was interesting to me. I wondered to myself, why is this making her uncomfortable? What is it about receiving that makes any of us uncomfortable? Is it obligation? In the case of my friend, did she think that if she accepted my gesture today, she'd be on the hook to pay for our next dinner out? Was it guilt? If I let Kathy pay, then that means I'm coasting for free? Or does our discomfort with receiving go deeper than that? I don't feel like I deserve it. I am a burden. I am not worthy. This dynamic comes through in other kinds of relationships too. I was coaching a woman whose husband used to live in scarcity, so she dimmed her light to play to his level. She looked to buy things on sale because she thought, well, he thinks it's better to spend less, so I should find the better deal. But then he got a new career that bumped up his income and introduced him to an abundant way of living and thinking, and she felt like she was still stuck with that scarcity mentality. I told her, dimming down is no longer necessary if it ever was. Let yourself shine. That presence is a gift to your relationship. In fact, the Talmud says that a woman brings mazel to a man and that every child doubles that mazel. It also says that if a man without integrity marries a righteous woman, he'll become righteous. And if a righteous man marries a woman without integrity, he'll become evil. That's how powerful the connection is within our partnerships. We can't get stuck in the separation illusion of, well, if he's created this, then who am I to play with the spoils? You've co-created it, and the more you receive, the more your partner is going to make, and the more that you're going to keep bumping into abundance together. And who knows? You might be the muse, and he might bring opportunities that match your vibration and vice versa. Together, you're creating this powerful atom bomb, this nucleus. It's a love explosion. Your biggest gift to your relationship is to be a receiver. If a man feels that his wife is available to receive, he'll literally go build her the world. Men love to give. They love it. They feel such an ego boost if they can give you an orgasm, if they can give you pleasure, if they can give you the tool to open that bottle with the pesky cap. Giving love in any way doubles and triples their capacity to generate more. So allow it. If you are someone who pushes away the gifts that the world and people offer you, check your limiting beliefs. Question them and update your story. I have thoughts. I am not my thoughts. I am not the old story. I am not the lyric about limitation and lack. I am worthy to receive. Say it. I am worthy to receive abundance. Say it again. You are worthy because a soul is worthy. It doesn't have to earn its worth. You are a soul that is connected to the abundant energy of the universe, the highest frequency on the radio dial. When you allow yourself to make space for what's flowing in your direction without turning away from or blocking that channel, you align with the abundant energy of the universe that is continuously moving toward balance, peace, and wholeness, toward endless possibility. Now, Cathy, you ask, if my patterns are unconscious, how will I know that I'm replicating them? Good catch, and great question. When we hold unconscious beliefs, we're typically also holding shame. Shame for not being enough, for not feeling worthy, for not feeling deserving. So then your first clue that you're replicating unconscious beliefs in your own life is feeling shame. The next thing to check in with is your level of exhaustion. When you close off your ability to receive, it's like holding a balloon underwater. It takes tremendous effort and resistance to hold a balloon underwater. Have you ever tried doing this? Well, I have, and it's a tiresome endeavor, and if you're similarly holding yourself down and apart from receiving, you might also feel like you're going to imminently pop. Moving forward, check in with your level of shame, especially around the subject of money. Listen to your thoughts. What are they saying? Are they singing a tune of limitation or abundance, of worthlessness or worthiness? Pause the song. The unconscious lyrics of limitation project a world before us that looks desolate, scarce, and scary. And while we cannot stop ourselves from thinking, we can choose our response. When you're spinning an old story, an old lyric, or a limiting belief from the past that makes you feel ashamed, undeserving, and not enough, the most effective way I know of to pause the song and to change the dial is through the breath. My friend and colleague Samantha Skelly describes the breath as our, quote, life force. If the nature of our life force is abundance, she argues, our breath is the connecting force. She says, quote, when we breathe deeply and intentionally, we can remove the stagnation, the stories about scarcity, and the static from our lives. End quote. This next exercise combines breathwork with affirmations to shift your energy from resistance to receiving. Get comfortable in your chair and take several deep breaths in and out. As you continue to breathe, Can you connect with the part of yourself that is bigger than your story, that goes beyond your mind? Can you connect with the part of yourself that is separate from your past, from the people who came before you? Can you connect with the part of yourself that is present in this moment? Once you relax into your body, repeat after me. I am worthy exactly as I am. What would it feel like to release the need for external validation and embrace my inherent worthiness? I am deserving of all the good that life has to offer. What if I was worthy to pursue all that I desire? I am a master manifester. My thoughts turn to things. I am aligning with the energy of receiving. I am open to becoming wealthy. I am worthy of financial abundance. There is no shame in receiving. I am surrendering financial worry. I am releasing scarcity thinking. What if money was a tool to create positive change in the world? I am in the process of trusting that the universe is guiding me toward abundance. What if abundance is mine because I am abundant? I am unlimited. Make a habit of revisiting these thoughts every day. Add them to your morning meditation, that most important daily meeting with yourself. This is how you change the dial, by singing a new tune over and over again. When you start humming a different lyric that speaks of greater self-worth and abundance, you begin to rewire the neural pathways in your mind, and this expands the restrictions of the small self, the good girl who learned to please others by diminishing her needs and dimming down, by giving her a stronger voice and stretching her capacity to receive. I am. When I had Deepak Chopra on my podcast, he told me that our ultimate purpose in life is to know who we are. He said, quote, "Nobody knows who they are. Are you your body? Well, which one? The fertilized egg? Zygote? Which one? You don't have a body. It's an activity, a perceptual activity. Some people will say, I'm my mind. Which one? You had a different mind when you were a teenager. Others say, I'm my personality. Well, hopefully that is evolving." End quote. What Deepak was getting at is that who you are is really the infinite, the divine pretending to be a person. It's the most joyous thing that can be experienced. Our relationship to who we are and to self is so crucial because it also impacts our worthiness. Deepak pointed out that the number 2 cause of death of people under 18 years old in this country is suicide. What does that tell you? It tells you that people don't understand what real worthiness is. They don't understand the most essential thing, which is that we are all inherently worthy. That's who we are. I am worthy. He said to me, say, I am Cathy Heller. Say it 3 times. I said it. I am Cathy Heller. I am Cathy Heller. I am Cathy Heller. How does it feel? Okay, I guess. Great. Now just say, I'm Cathy. I'm Cathy. Does that feel different? Now just say I am, he said. I am. The point of this exercise was to show how the I am is so much bigger than our name, bigger than our body. You are part of this oneness. You are the I am. That's the consciousness that runs through you. What is the worthiness of that? Well, it's the totality of all things everywhere all at once. This reminds me of something that Rabbi Aaron and I discussed. He said, animals do what they feel like doing. Human beings can do what they don't feel like doing. Humans can say, I feel like being mean or I choose to be kind. I feel like screaming at my kids or I choose to hold back and smile and compliment them. I choose not to get angry. This is when you embody divinity, when you choose good, when you make the courageous choice to be yourself, your godly, inherently worthy self. At times when I question my worthiness, I empower the breath. I inhale to the count of 4, hold my breath to the count of 4, and exhale to the count of 8. I repeat this meditative breathing sequence a few times, and on the last exhale, my head will begin to clear and my vision will expand. It's in the stillness to which our ear delightfully attunes. It's within that space where we meet our true self, our infinite, abundant self who has all the right answers. In the pause between my own notes, I hear, I am worthy exactly as I am, and I am deserving of all the good that life has to offer. It's important to remember what to remember. 1. Every one of us living on the planet is meant to receive the infinite stream of abundance that is available to everyone. As we do, we are giving to the whole ecosystem. 2. You get what you have the courage to ask for, and you get what you have the capacity to receive. 3. You're safe to be authentic. You're safe to be powerful. 4. Choose to dance through life. Choose to enjoy what you have in the moment. 5. Love is about giving. One of the most beautiful ways we can give to someone is to receive the love they give to us. 6. You are worthy to receive abundance. You are worthy because a soul is worthy. It doesn't have to earn its worth. 7. Who you are is really the infinite, the divine pretending to be a person. You are part of this oneness. You are the I am. That is the consciousness that runs through you.